they were able to get the start of their run was transition and a second chance. And if you look sort of at the effort offense areas for them, they ended up at 25 fast break points, which that's always skewed by the counter, so it's more than that, and 23 second chance points. So, the schematics-wise in the half court, we'll take a look at everything and see what we want to tweak and all that. That's hard to overcome, particularly when a team is shooting like they were shooting tonight.
With that said, that you got to go and look at it. They hit 21 threes. How many of those did you feel like were ones that you kind of have to live with to wall up the paint versus ones that you would have liked to see contested differently?
Yeah, I have to go look back at everyone, but I know a number of those were in transition and off offensive rebounds.
JJ, Luka was able to get off to such a good start scoring the basketball, but I think he finished with only a single assist. What were they doing to kind of limit his playmaking opportunities, and what did you see on that front when it came to the other guys, particularly early in the first half?
A lot of it was just the coverage scheme they had, not really playing Gobert his normal minutes, and then some late reds, some late veers with him when he was in coverage. Then that they had their 1 through 5 switching group in. So just in terms of like the 2 on the basketball, the blitzes, the 4 on 3s, just not there. I think that was expected on our side. But again, we'll look at the film and see what we can do better.
JJ, so much of your to your right, so much of your mantra this year has been effort defensively. It just wasn't there at the beginning of the second and the beginning of the third. Any thoughts on why that was, or were they doing something different to offset it?
No, I don't. Again, they're a great opponent. They're one of the best teams in basketball. There's, I think, it's not to say our guys weren't like ready to withstand like a playoff level basketball game. We were mentally ready. I thought our spirit was right. I thought even when they made runs, our huddles were great. The communication was great. I'm not sure physically we were ready, if that makes sense. And really, when they started playing with a lot of thrust and physicality, like we just didn't respond immediately to that. And then that stretch from the start of the second through 4 or 5 minutes to go in the third, we lost that stretch by 34. So that's a blowout.
LeBron, you've been through more game ones than anybody. What after a game like this, where it's a big score line at home, what's the kind of the proper way to try and respond from that mentally, physically, and all of it?
Well, obviously, we got to do a better job of controlling the controllables, and I don't think we did a good enough job after the first quarter. Once they blitzed us in that second quarter, 38-20. But giving up 21 threes, giving up 20-plus fast break points, second chance points, those are some of the things that we can control. Obviously the three-point shooting, we know they have a lot of lasers, they have a lot of guys that can shoot from the perimeter. So we got to do a better job of closing the bodies and getting out on shooters. So, we'll get back in the film room tomorrow, look at the things that we did well, and some of the things that we didn't do so well, and continue the game plan for game 2. We have a couple of days to prepare for it.
LeBron, both AR and JJ mentioned that they felt like one of the factors tonight was the physicality being something that maybe caught you guys early on in the game. Were there any things that you saw that gave you belief that you figured out how to counter that as the game went on that you can take into game 2?
Well, definitely. No. When you play a Minnesota team, they're going to be physical. That's what they bring to the table. Maybe it took us one playoff game to now get a feel for it and know the type of intensity, the type of physicality that's going to be brought to the game, but that's just the way they play. So we should be more than prepared for that on Tuesday night.
LeBron, obviously you guys are going to meet game 2 with a sense of urgency. But what's sort of the right approach to a game 2 when you're down 0-1 in terms of still being calm and understanding kind of the big picture of things while also knowing that it's obviously an incredibly important game?
No, we understand that. I mean, they took home court from us tonight, as far as the series. But, we have an opportunity to even the series out on Tuesday, and we have to play a much better game than we did today. Like I said, we have to control the controllables, and if we do that, we're going to give ourselves a much better chance to win than we did tonight.
You mentioned one of your first answers there, the Timberwolves 20-plus fast break points is a key factor. How much of that did you see as a result of just you guys missing shots close to the rim and near the rim and them running out just from there?
No, we did a great job later on. Throughout the whole season, we did a great job of not allowing teams to get, fast break point after fast break point after fast break point. I mean, like I said, those guys are 10 for 15 and 25 points on the fast break. We already know offensively how dangerous they are, so you're giving teams an opportunity to get those easy points. It's going to be hard to make that up. I mean, we only had 6 ourselves, so we got outscored by 19 in that race. So, those are things that we can control by getting back, setting our defense, making them score against our half-court defense.
LeBron, you guys closed the third on the 17-6 run and then carried that over into the first few minutes of the fourth. What did you see during that stretch of 6-7 minutes that you feel like you could take in a game?
We just met the intensity, what they were bringing to the table. We met the physicality with physicality and started to get up into them. Allowed us to get some turnovers, allowed us to get some extra possessions, and it allowed us to get back into the game. So, like I said, sometimes it takes a quarter, 2 quarters, a full game to get used to playoff basketball once again. So it shouldn't be no surprise on Tuesday.
LeBron, to your right, when you talk about controlling the controllables in the second and third quarter, what comes to mind at those times?
Offensive rebounds, giving up open shots to lasers, not being in the right position. So it was a lot of factors that allowed them to build that big lead up to 27.
LeBron, Minnesota was able to kind of penetrate, drive and kick. They converted a lot of those corner threes and things of that nature. How much of that was just a team getting hot and hitting their shots, and how much of that is part of the controllables and things that you can prevent?
We're gonna look at the film and break it down. There's some that was just great plays by them. We're all NBA players. We know how to make plays. Some of the things we could have control, but we watch the film and see ways we could be better with our rotations going into it.
LeBron, the Timberwolves scored 18 points off turnovers compared just to 9 by the Lakers. How do you think the team can do a better job managing that in the upcoming games?
Well, obviously, taking care of the ball versus a team like this is very important. But anytime you're in the postseason, you got to take care of the ball. And if you turn the ball over, you got to try your best to get back. In transition, not allow them to get points. Like you said, they had 18 points off our 13 turnovers, and we only had 9 off their 10. So we got to do a much better job of trying to turn them over, and at the same time, do a better job of protecting the ball, and not having as many turnovers for us, and especially at home. Appreciate it.
That'll force them into a three-pointer. Time called here. Los Angeles decides to talk it over. Trail by 3. 16 seconds left to play in the fourth. All right, guys, what's your take? If they leave the arc open, take it. But it may be safer to get a quick 2 and then foul. Either way, they got to score the ball. James outside. The 3 won't fall. And they're going to prolong the game with an intentional foul. Yeah, and there's no question they have to foul. Now, I'm sure they would have preferred to avoid it. They didn't really have another option. I mean, I thought they did a nice job getting into his hands and making sure he was the guy who'd go to the line. And so both free throws good. And it's a 5-point game. Good composure from the line there. Those shots sealed it. From deep, here's Doncic. He can't hit that time. And so it's Minnesota with the W. And it always takes a lot of pressure off a team when they get the win in Game 1. It's the most important game of the series. They've shown they know how to beat this team. The formula's in place. Now they just have to stick with it for the next few games.